not diving out in the ocean. You're diving in the bay. Like
Okay.
you're going in shallower water. You're in and around the piers. And I'm not an expert on sharks by any stretch, so I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily their natural habitat. I think they might be farther out.
They're out right off of Malibu. They didn't even realize how many of them there were
Yeah.
until people started flying drones. So they fly these drones like a couple hundred yards off of people
And there they are.
surfing, and there's fucking great whites just swimming around. And you're like, what?
The ocean will fuck you up. You have no control over that. It's, and again, so in that moment, you're like, I remember I had these conversations with myself. You just get slammed, and you see it out of the corner of your eye. It's like, yeah, that didn't happen. Let's just keep going.
4 hours.
That's about the longest I've been underwater yet. Exhaustion dive on a dragger.
In those rebreathers, some people have episodes of epilepsy or of seizures when they use those
Oxygen
rebreathers.
toxicity is an issue, and then because of the chemical scrubber, of course, the chemical scrubber reacts negatively to water. So we should put it in a container and then submerge it in the water under pressure.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's held on by a hand-tightened screw.
Oh, God damn.
And
It's crazy that it works.
It works really, really well until it doesn't. And you see people do the nuclear submarine out of the water, ripping their mouthpiece out because it's called a caustic cocktail. There's one-way valves in each of the hoses. So the loop has to be correct and continuous. So when you exhale, it needs to go into the scrubber, and then when you inhale, it needs to come, because if there was no one-way valve, you know what I mean, the oxygen would flow through the system without being able to recharge. Because if you inhale enough, it'll give you another hit of pure oxygen, and it can continue that cycle. Mm-hmm. But so the canister will start to fill up, and you can hear it too. Like after every dive, you maintain your own gear. But you'll dump out the canister, and the chemical, it'll turn, at least the stuff that I was using when I was in, it'll turn like a purplish color as the effectiveness is starting to reduce. You can actually do more than one dive with it, because you open the container up and you make sure that the chemicals are okay, and then you tilt it over, and on every dive, water starts coming out of it. And you can hear it on dives too. It'll start gurgling a little bit, like as you're inhaling.
Oh, no.
Oh, it's... And again, you can spend time worrying about that, or you can just drive on and deal with, if it becomes an issue, you can deal with it at that time.
What do you do if it becomes an issue?
You have to get to the surface.
And then what do you do?
You got to get fresh air. You need to wash your mouth out. And you need to get to a higher level of care.
So if you are 2 hours into a 4-hour swim
Yep.
with a rebreather and you pop your head off the surface and you're gagging, what do you do?
There's going to be there's always a safety ratio in those training evolutions. So you're going to have a diving supervisor. While everybody's underwater, you're going to have a pretty robust network of people that are up there for safety. So the dive has been planned. You've probably already coordinated with, you know where the nearest chamber is. You've notified the chamber that you're diving. So if you have a pressure-related issue, you know where the nearest hospital is. You have a primary, secondary, and tertiary medical plan. And I forget what it was, but I think it was, one dive soup per maybe 4 dive pairs. And you dive with buoys in training. So there's boats that are up top that are, not only are they there to help in case an emergency would come up, but boats don't see those little buoys because it's just a little orange buoy traveling along, and at nighttime you put chem light glow sticks on them, which nobody is looking for. So boats are up there to basically push other boats away. So you'll get up there and you literally just, you wave your hand and the boat will come over, and they're going to get you to a corpsman, which is, the medical personnel on the Navy side of the house, and they're going to start treating you right there. But the caustic cocktails are gnarly. I mean, guys will just come up projectile vomiting. It doesn't happen that often, but every dive you dip that thing over and the water starts coming out of it.
Bro.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. It's just crazy that it does work, that you can breathe underwater with no bubbles.
It works well. Works really well. Yeah, most of the time you're limited by the amount of oxygen in the cylinder, not the effectiveness of the chemical scrubber itself.
How long is it supposed to last for?
Ooh, I do not know off the top of my head, but an exhaustion dive on a dragger, for me, you could go somewhere between 3.5 to 4 hours.
Wow.
Which is just, it's mind-numbing.
That's crazy. You could just breathe into that thing.
Mm-hmm. It's super quiet. The only noise that it makes is when you have a demand valve that kicks in, it'll give you a hit of that pure oxygen. Just that's what it sounds like. And then other than that's pure. That's what I'm saying. You can hear so much more. You hear all the crustaceans down there and all the clicking. You can sneak up on animals because you're not making as much noise.
It seems like it would be a good thing to wear if you were scuba diving or you were spearfishing, rather.
It's limited by the depth because if you
Oh.
take oxygen down to depth, that's where you're going to get the O2 toxicity issues. So on those dives, we're talking 20 feet to the surface is where you need to
that's
stay.
it.
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah. Fuck that. It won't work.
No.
Yeah.
Unless there's awesome spearfishing at 20 feet.
I heard spearfishing is the shit. Everybody that's done it says it's amazing. It's like hunting underwater.
I'll never be able to tell you because I'm not going to voluntarily
done.
go in the fucking water.
Well, it's understandable. You did your time. Dude, I didn't know. I was listening to your podcast. I didn't know that you were involved in the rescue of Jessica Lynch.
That was the second target that we hit in the first